Hey everyone, I'm Almar of AlmarsGuides.com, and in this video here, I'm going to be talking about the Asgard farming location in Titan Quest. So this location is found in the Ragnarok expansion, aka Act 5, and this is one of the later areas you get to in the Ragnarok expansion, and actually, it's one of the harder areas too. Quite difficult if you don't have a good geared character, or you don't know your build good enough, or you don't have proper skills picked. You're going to struggle a lot at this location. So there are actually 5 monster infrequents that 6 that you want to keep an eye out for at this location. Einherjar's Fate. This is really the main one that is really worth it from this location. It is one of the best swords you can possibly get in the game, and it comes with really good rolls on it. Base rolls on the monster infrequent. It comes with, I'm pretty sure, plus 25% damage to giants, plus percent physical damage depending on what difficulty you're on. The percent physical damage changes depending on if you're on normal, epic, or legendary. And it also comes with the grand skill, Reckless Offense. And what makes this such a powerful weapon is the very fast speed on the weapon. This other monster infrequent, Einherjar's Line, this drops here. However, it's not very good. I'd actually recommend you almost never pick that up unless it has a really good roll. And you'll notice that the Einherjar's Fate that I am moused over right now on my screen, we actually got really lucky with this item because it came with an additional physical damage roll on it. You'll see this weapon right here. This one only has the initial plus 23% physical damage on it. It doesn't come with the additional physical damage roll that the other one did. This one has different rolls on it. So looking at the other items that we can possibly get from this location, Helm of Valhalla. This is one of the decent ones. It's pretty much just a helm that comes with energy resistance on it. That is, 10% less damage from giants and percentage vitality damage resistance. I'm pretty sure I called it energy resistance the first time, but it's vitality damage resistance. And some builds may want to use this helm. I personally wouldn't use it unless I really desperately needed vitality damage res. But it is a solid amount of vitality damage resistance for a single slot, which is the main reason it makes the list. Harness of Valhall. This item, the main thing that it comes with is 10% less damage from giants and percent bleeding resistance. A lot of people use this item as a piece of swap gear for, I can't remember the name of the boss in Act 5. The Golden Boar in Act 5. He does bleeding damage. So a lot of people carry around this Harness of Valhalla to use on that board to just swap to it. It basically gives you enough bleeding res to get through the fight, and then you can just swap to something else. Of course, you can also get some good rolls like this Harness of Valhalla. You can see I got a pretty good roll on it. It could use more bleeding res. It doesn't have that much bleeding res. Well, but it has otherwise pretty good rolls on it. So the next item in the list would be Armguards of Valhall right here. These come with 10% less damage from giants, percent-based reduced freeze duration, and percent-based slow resistance. And the other rolls you get on these will vary, of course, but a lot of people use these items because the secondary resistances that it gives you are pretty darn powerful. Slow res and freeze resistance really help you out in legendary difficulty where a single slow or freeze can end up getting you killed. Buskins of Valhall. These are the boots that you can get here. These give you 10% less damage from giants, percent-based reduced petrified duration, and percent-based stun resistance. Both of those are secondary resistances as well, and both of them can be exceptionally important for people on epic and legendary difficulty. Of course, these resistances are going to be more or less beneficial depending on which build you are playing and the sort of character you're playing. Melee characters are honestly going to benefit more from those resists than spells casters or like archers / other ranged characters throwing weapons, whatever it may be. And the reason for that is because melee characters need to run into basically the thick of shit. So if they get stunned, slowed, or whatever it may be, they're going to suffer a lot more damage since they're already in the middle of all the enemies. Accidentally was on the wrong skill bar right there and was using repeatedly casting my buff skills instead of actually attacking the enemies. Clever, I know. And the other item that drops here that I have not mentioned yet is Boots of the Valkyrie. So I actually don't have one of these to show you, which is a bit unfortunate because I have wanted one of these items for a while and have yet to get one. They come with plus health regeneration, plus movement speed, and +1 to all skills, which is the main reason that people farm these. Is it's quite difficult to get boots with +1 to all skills. There aren't that many boots that have that in the game. So Valkyrie Boots are a sought-after chase item for that reason. The downside is Valkyrie Boots have a very low % chance to drop, and the chance of you getting good rolls on them is, you know, even lower than their drop rate. So it's going to be a farm if you want to get a good enough pair of Valkyrie Boots to use for your builds. So the Valkyrie Boots drop from the Valkyrie enemies, which I just killed one. I'll point it out next time we actually fight a Valkyrie enemy. But all of the other items that I've talked about until now, here's the Valkyries right here. Basically the flying enemies with wings. They stand out compared to everything else. The humanoid enemies in Asgard are going to be the ones that drop the Valhall gear as well as the Einherjar's gear. So if you see Einherjar's Fate or Einherjar's Line, it's going to be dropped from these humanoid enemies. The other enemies here, like you can see some Kelpie enemies there, they're honestly not even worth fighting. They don't drop the items that we want, so you can just honestly skip over them. Also, those big giant construct enemies, the metallic ones, the gold ones that activate when you get close enough to them, they also don't drop the monster infrequents we're after, so you can honestly skip by those too. Don't know if I have that epic kick. The Celtic Hounds, I'm pretty sure I do. Pretty sure that icon looks familiar. And those Alfheim warrior enemies that I just killed, I don't think they drop the monster infrequents either that we're after here. It is specifically these Einherjar enemies that you see me killing. I wonder if they're all named that. No, this one is Asgardian warrior. So basically all of the humanoid enemies in Asgard are the ones that will drop the Einherjar's items. I'm pretty sure that's the case. I don't think it's only the Einherjar enemies. I'm pretty sure it's all humanoid enemies in Asgard. And like I was saying before, this location is a pretty hard location, so keep that in mind before coming here. You will need a pretty powerful character to farm here. And there is no best route as far as farming here goes. You can kind of do whatever route you would like to do. Sometimes people only clear the building here. I like clearing the outside as well as the inside. And be wary of these banners that enemies drop. You're probably already familiar with that from Act 1, the Centaur enemies that drop the banners that basically just absolutely annihilate things when they drop the banner. But the same thing will happen in this act. If you stand in one of those war banners for too long, the enemies just will annihilate you. There's the Harness of Valhall. And that's a pretty darn good roll, too. Look at that. It's got over 100% bleed resist and plus 8% health, which is phenomenal. That is probably like the best, whatever you call it, whatever chest I got. Harness of Valhall chest. That's definitely going in the TQ Vault Bank. Let's actually swing down this way. We'll go around this way. I usually don't clear the courtyard. I mean, this is technically, I guess, also a courtyard. I would consider this the upper courtyard. I'm talking about the lower courtyard that is all like grass. I won't go down out into that portion of the area. We clear Gladsheim, and then we clear the building next to the Asgard portal, and that's all we clear. After that, we reset. So, I guess one thing I can talk a little bit about how to determine good monster infrequents, or rather, talk a little bit more in depth about that. So, one thing that is worth mentioning, if you don't have the TQ Vault AE third-party program, I strongly recommend you get that, because when you mouse over a monster infrequent in Titan Quest without that program, it does not tell you what the affixes are on that monster infrequent. It will only tell you, it will only show you the name of the monster infrequent. And what TQ Vault AE does is it will show you the name of the affixes that roll on your monster infrequent. And before I continue explaining that, right where I am now, south of me is the courtyard that I don't explore. I only come down here, clear these enemies, and then I run back up the stairs. That was a monster infrequent. And it's not a good one. It can stay there on the ground. Trash! So what I was saying was, if I can remember my train of thought, actually let me drop a portal and port back up there, because I don't feel like running through all of this junky junk. So, sorry, cut my train of thought off twice. What I was saying though is, the best way to determine if you got a good monster infrequent roll is by checking the prefix and the suffix, making sure you at least got one that rolled both a prefix and a suffix. And you can do that with TQ Vault AE by basically just opening the program and then mousing over the name of the item, because it'll tell you what the suffix is and what the prefix is on the item. And at least at first, I would recommend you pick up every single item, every monster infrequent that drops. However, once you get a copy of all of the monster infrequents, it's time to start looking for one that rolls good. So your first prerequisite for a good roll is having both affixes on the item. If it's got both affixes, then you can check the item and see if the affixes are good. And obviously, then you can, go off of that. So for a lot of these items, like for the Harness of Valhall, you're probably only going to be using that for like 2 fights that require bleed resistance. So you're going to want other affixes on that item that will assist you for those 2 fights. So like I got the plus 8% health or whatever it was. That's a pretty good affix for those 2 fights. And it'll help out with our survivability. And really there's not much else I could have asked for on that item. Maybe like increased damage or something like that, but at least the plus 8% health is pretty universal. It's going to benefit basically every class. If we get increased damage, it might only benefit some classes, not others, yada yada. So I'm pretty content with that roll. As far as the boots and the bracers, they both come with secondary resistances on it. So what qualifies as a good roll is going to be subjective depending on what class you use them on. So like if you're using them on a melee, what's a good roll will be different than if you're using them on a caster, yada yada yada. So keep that in mind. You're probably going to have to farm ones that are good specifically for whatever build you plan on using it for. Usually, like I said before, those items are better for melee characters because getting secondary resists high is usually more important for melee characters than it is for other builds. And what was the other ones? Einherjar's Fate. Funny one just dropped as I brought that up. Like I said before, usually you'll want to pick up one of those with one of them no matter what until you get a few of them. And then you'll want to start looking for Einherjar's Fate with good rolls on them. The one that I showed you at the start of the video that comes with flat physical damage on it, or sorry, percentage-based physical damage. Let me show you it again. This one. This is actually a very good rolled weapon. However, the downside of it is it doesn't have two affixes on it. It only has one. I'm pretty sure it's called Einherjar's Fate of Annihilation. And the Annihilation is the physical damage boost that comes on it. So, sadly, it's not as good as it could be, which is the biggest bummer as far as that item goes. But it is a good roll, even though it isn't as good as it could possibly be. But in Titan Quest, monster infrequents are essentially chase items. For those of you who are unfamiliar with that terminology, a chase item is essentially like a best in-slot item that you can constantly keep farming over and over and over, hoping for a good roll. So for most melee-oriented builds, Harbingers, Conquerors, all of those builds, you're going to want to farm either a Sabertooth or an Einherjar's Fate. And those items will probably get you through the entire game. You probably will never need a better weapon than those. And for the most part, you don't want to equip a better any other weapon aside from those, because those weapons are almost as good as you can get, and you can also modify those weapons further with charms, relics, and stuff like that. So. We're getting kind of close to the end of Asgard here. Or towards the end of Valhall, but it'll also be the end of our Asgard farm too. Was that a monster infrequent? Nope. Thought it was. It is worth mentioning the bosses that spawn at the end here will not spawn after you clear the story quest once. So it'll just be a few chests. It's kind of funny that the chests still spawn. You can kind of just like log in and open the chests and dip without killing the bosses. These darn Valkyries and them summoning ads. Coming up on the end here now. So, if you guys enjoyed this video, leave me a like because that helps me out. If I forgot anything whatsoever or got anything wrong, let me know in the comment section below. Always looking to correct myself and get the most accurate / best information out there. As you can see, the two majestic chests in this room, both of them trapped though. Unfortunate. That's really all there is to it, though. That is the end of our farming run. As you can see, we're back at the Asgard portal and got the traditional lag spike when leaving Valhall, too. That's really all there is to it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you did, leave me a like. That helps me out, and I will catch you guys around in future Titan Quest videos. Peace.